Facial recognition has been used widely across China, powering the technology to unlock phones, to pass security checks at airports. There you go. Does it look like me? And purchase goods with a smile to pay function. At its core, it is a biometric software application capable of verifying or identifying a person by comparing and analyzing patterns of facial images. Besides being convenient, facial recognition technology does have another major advantage: safety and security. As Forbes reports, law enforcement agencies use the technology to uncover criminals and to find missing children. In New York, for instance, police were able to apprehend an accused rapist using facial recognition technology within 24 hours of an incident where he threatened a woman with rape at knife point. In cities where police don't have time to fight petty crime, business owners are installing facial recognition systems to identify subjects of interest when they come into their stores. And airports are increasingly adding facial recognition technology to security checkpoints. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security predicts that it will be used on 97% of travelers by 2023. However, it does trigger concerns about data privacy, and such concerns have not gone unnoticed by technology experts and government officials in China. The Personal Information Security Specification took effect in May 2018. It lays out granular guidelines for consent and how personal data should be collected, used, and shared. While the 2017 cybersecurity law is currently the most authoritative law protecting personal information among other functions, the specification is the effective centerpiece of an emerging system around personal data. In June this year, a professional committee under China's Ministry of Science and Technology issued principles of next-generation artificial intelligence governance, pledging to develop responsible AI in China. Although a more complete and improved regulation system is being shaped, the establishment of the national-level working group to set the standard for facial recognition in China is a giant step in the right direction. But instead of discussing the pros and cons of this technology, some media seem to intentionally ignore China's efforts to regulate data collection. They opened fire on the Chinese government with full ammunition, with false accusations, and cast aspersions on how China will use these technological developments. Let me start with this article from CNN Business with a headline: China is rolling out facial recognition for all new mobile phone numbers. It doesn't take long for the article to begin questioning the use of China's new facial recognition technology. The fourth line of the article reads, while the government says the implementation of biometric data effectively protects citizens' legitimate rights and interests in cyberspace and helps fight fraud, the move brings with it considerable privacy and security concerns in one of the most tightly controlled online environments in the world. The move brings with it considerable privacy and security concerns. According to who, you might ask? The journalist provides two unsatisfactory pieces of evidence to back up their statement. The first quote, four Chinese researchers specializing in AI to back up their spurious claim of security concerns. The article links to a paper authored by four Chinese academics from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. So far so good. However, what the article fails to articulate is that the research paper actually details the many benefits of facial recognition and similar technologies and highlights the advantages for the public good. Also, the research paper does not argue against facial recognition per se, but rather the possible ramifications if the data is not fully secure and risks falling into the wrong hands. Secondly, the article quotes the US-based Electronic Frontier Foundation, a non-profit organization which focuses on, quote, civil liberties in a digital world. Why does the journalist once again assume that a US or Western value framework is applicable to China in the broadest sense? We have our own politics, our own ideological framework, and our own way of doing things. When will this imposition, this assumption of the Western way of being the only way, end? The article goes on to say China's largest policy also raises alarms because of how it could potentially be used by the country's vast surveillance state. Now, there are two problems here. First, who is this raising an alarm with? Those in the US? To which I would respectfully say you have no cause to be alarmed on behalf of the Chinese people. Secondly, I would question the term surveillance state. London is reported to have over 500,000 CCTV cameras to keep its citizens safe, with over 15,000 in operation on the tube alone. Is London a surveillance city, or the underground a surveillance tube? Or are these just measures that national governments, local authorities, businesses and private citizens take to ensure the safety and the protection of the public or themselves? It was also reported this week that the US Department of Homeland Security wants to use facial recognition technology at airports to monitor people traveling to and leaving that country. This would also include US citizens. So quite some double standards here, wouldn't you agree? Now let's take a look at a second article. This one was published in the Daily Mail, and the headline reads, China starts selling its world-leading surveillance and facial recognition technology globally, despite concerns it violates human rights. I'm sorry, this story really, really makes me laugh a little bit, and you'll see why I find it so funny. Because I'm not sure what or who the headline is trying to criticize here. Is it aimed at China for selling the technology it has developed, or those who are looking to purchase it? Why is China attacked for choosing to market its technological innovations, which have a myriad of uses, and it's not simply a tool to violate human rights? If the paper has a problem with other countries using this technology, why doesn't it call them out? Instead, it calls out China, making us look bad, and seems to want to hold us accountable for the actions of other countries. The piece goes on to say, and here's the really funny part, in contrast to the typical weapons and ammunition on display on other stands, Chinese firms offered non-lethal equipment, non-lethal, helmets, bulletproof vests, and tactical clothing for special forces or riot troops, jamming equipment, and cameras. Lots of cameras. Now, this paragraph is about a recent Millipore security trade fair in France. The journalist here admits that China is selling non-lethal products, while others at the trade fair were selling and promoting deadly weapons. Yet, China is still painted as the boogeyman, the one everyone should be afraid of. China is a world leader in these digital technologies, but the United States and the UK, let's not be mistaken, are the two largest producers and sellers of arms. These include bombs, bullets, and fighter jets. I only ask, which would you rather see deployed on your streets to keep your citizens safe, cameras or guns? It seems that some people think that having a society plagued by lethal weapons is a preferable alternative to China. Every country has its own way of organizing society and controlling crime and unrest, and China chooses cameras over deadly machines. Is there something wrong with that?